Hello there, this is Aphex Colin coming at you with another tutorial. Probably heard that a lot from YouTubers in general, but coming at you with another tutorial. This time I want to go over the character creation tool, and it's an amazing tool to begin with. Fantasy Grounds is the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest virtual tabletop that you can get. I highly suggest you definitely buy the complete license. Saves a lot of money, but subscription is great too. I almost feel like these guys deserve donations sometimes because they put a lot of effort into what they're trying to do. But let me I guess that's me kind of being a little bit biased there. There are other virtual tabletops out there, I should say that, and they are great. It just depends on your group and what you like. What I like is Fantasy Grounds. This is where I came to, and this is one of my final stops before I go to other tabletops because there's so much you could do. So today we're going to learn about how to really create a character, make sure that characters they have all the stats that they need, and to make sure that everything will be converted to being able to be used in battle. We want to make sure that's a big thing, right? So let's kind of get started here. You probably have seen my other tutorials. If you have not, I'd check those out first if you're new. If not, check out this one, if you really want to know about character creation. My next tutorial is more than likely going to be advanced battling, and I'll probably get into a little bit of world building after that, and to let you know how to really efficient ways to really create a whole world using Fantasy Grounds, and all the little nuances that comes with that. So anyways, without further ado, let's kind of get into this. So going into characters, and characters is where we're going to be making most of our players' characters for D&D. So that's pretty important. And every character that you're going to have, if you have a lot of groups, I have a pretty good amount of groups, so you can see I have a good amount of characters in here. Some of these characters are dead too, but I like to keep them around because they have great stats you can use for other, just change the name, smudge the race a little bit, and you have a whole new character. So it's great to have those stats right here. So let's see. I showed you really easy way to make a character last time. Two Teeth Timmy. Well, today we're gonna try to make I'll say like I don't know, level. I don't know, roll that 20. But I'm not gonna go that far. Yeah, like a level. I was thinking level 5. Okay, so there we go. So again, we're going to kind of go over this. If you watched the other tutorials, you kind of know a little bit about this. This is the character sheet. This is everything that your players are going to see and that you are going to see. And that's important because you want to know exactly what your players are doing, and at the same time knowing exactly their stats. For the most part, if you're really if you're a dungeon master that's really into making sure that you know your players. So this is a great way keep track of everything. And this is not really truly a character builder. There are other builders out there. One of the best is a free one on the Android. It's free, but you pay pay $5. I forget what it's called. It's like Path Builder or something like that, or Path. It's somewhere around those lines. Great character builder, really quick. I know Hero Lab has an online one. That's a great one. I used to use Hero Lab a lot. And again, this isn't going to necessarily take up the character creation because you're not necessarily trying to create a character fast in this, but we're trying to make sure that our character, whatever we put on the character sheet, it needs to correlate and go into the battle assessments and all the math and everything that's going to happen in there, so that we can have a faster, more productive battle. And that's what we're kind of trying to do again with the virtual tabletop, is save time and energy and money. So it does. I will say this though, making a character is still a little time consuming, just equally as much if you were to build a character in real life on this program. So if I tell my players, you're making a new character, that's going to take about an hour. It's about an hour and a half that you're going to be, making a new character. It sometimes longer depending on if it's a spellcaster or an advanced class that has a lot more explanation. So let's kind of get into this. I don't want to spend too much time on this. You guys kind of already know what's going on in here, but let's just say that you're kind of new. One of the biggest things is to remember that this is the character sheet on the left, and on the right, this is actually kind of the level up system for the character sheet. So the character sheet, you're going to see this a lot. This is going to come in handy a lot when we're leveling up, okay? And this is called the tracker. So even if I click this, oh, there it goes. But say I kind of close it, I open it up. There's the tracker again. Woo! Yeah, we got our tracker back. So just in case something happens, that's how we get our tracker. And our tracker levels us up and does everything. It does a lot of automations down in here. It's getting better with some of the automations, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So for right now, I'm just going to make another, I don't know, let's go with the gnome. Oh yeah, let's make a gnome, I don't know, half orc. That sounds sweet. Alright, and just kind of, oh, can only choose one. And you probably knew that too. So again, I'm just choosing things. It's kind of letting me know, hey, this is what you got. Here's your ancestry, blah, 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 blah. And kind of see, it went pretty quick what I just did. Now, to kind of give you a little bit more detail, if I hit background, and that's the next step, I need a background. But say I'm not really quite sure what the backgrounds entail, even with this, like, description right here, I can always hit this little button, or I'm sorry, this little symbol right here. And this little symbol will actually open up everything and give me a deeper explanation. And again, tabs on the right. Remember, tabs on the right. Tabs everywhere on the right. So this gives me an explanation of everything. Makes it a lot easier for me to build a character. And I don't have to worry too much about, so I don't know, I gotta pick a background. So I don't have to really worry too much about going through books or going to websites and whatnot. But I do highly suggest, I'm just gonna kind of, yeah, Barkeeper sounds fun. Constitution. And select ability boost, I guess dexterity, why not? And class, I am gonna be a champion. And again, it's going to tell you, because like when you pick a champion, you have to pick 3 different types of champions, and this will come with every class. Every class usually has some sort of some classes aren't, like the fighter is not really that as hard to build, but the champion, and this is kind of a good way to kind of show you, this definitely has different things that you can choose from. But I kind of want to go back and say, like, I don't like this class. I'm going to kind of close out here. I don't like that class. Let's choose a different class. So I can still go back, to the tracker, and I can re-select what I want. And this time I'm going to, because the one thing that you guys need to see is how a wizard or a sorcerer kind of works. Same thing, I can choose some really cool stuff here. It'll automate a lot of things. Now, another interesting thing to remember, over in here in this area, it starts at the bottom, and everything that you choose is going to be added into this area, which then correlates and responds into, or it has a result inside of your character sheet. And gives everything that you need to know about your character inside your character sheet, which is great. We need to know that stuff, right? Languages and things like that. So there's, a couple interesting things. And we'll get into the languages and things like that. But there's a couple, every once in a while, it might say something like, it is not automated, have to add, like the C, it says automation if appropriate has been applied. And if I keep going up, there eventually will say, like, you have to manually put in something. So this kind of gives you everything that you need to know. Now, it's not, I don't use it too much. I don't have to worry too much. But like you can see, like, Hobnobber was, or Hobnobber was actually added into the character sheet. I can even click on the little symbol there, and I can see everything about that. And if I keep going up, you can see everything, like right here. Here we go, train, a total of 2 skills, add 1 more train skill. If increase your intelligence in step 4. So right, right now I have 2 skills, and I do not have those skills, marked off, except for the ones that are already automated, and you're going to kind of see trained here, trained here, trained. So a couple things are already automated for us. So this is going to let us know, especially right here, the 2, this is the extra skills that we're going to get from our class, possibly more from intelligence as we continue. And again, it'll say like trained in 1 skill determined by your choice of deity. Apparently, that I don't think that's a thing with. I don't know. I don't think I've picked any of these yet. So, oh yeah, it's not deity. It's choice of my elemental. So I think they don't mean deity. They mean elemental, or I mean my whatever it's called, the bloodline. That's what it's called. So I want to have elemental. Why not? I was saying elemental. So it's added in. It's going to add in, everything that I need for the most part. Even my points, everything is added. Like, right, you can see the HP 24 already. Speed 25. It's got everything that's added to our character sheet for the most part. I will, would say always go over your character sheet to make sure you have everything in here. But for the most part, you're probably not going to miss anything for right now. Majority of everything is going to be in here. It's beautiful. I love this program. All right, so last thing is we have the 4 free boosts. I want, let's do, and then Constitution. So I have a really weird, oh yeah, this is kind of cool. Do you want to add the default class equipment? Yeah, of course. So that way I don't have to worry about buying items. I can just jump right into the game, and this is great for players that want to just hop in and start playing really quickly, not having to take their time really dealing with items and what you have to buy. So you're going to automatically see an inventory tab. Oh, well, should be in there. Usually it's in there. Maybe it didn't happen. Haha. Oh, something. All right. Well, we'll get into that here in a second. So we had our free boosts. Let's do this. Okay, let's kind of click on that. I'm just kind of curious if... No, nothing happened there. Maybe I hit no. I don't believe I did. I thought I hit yes, but... so anyway, if I go back to tracker, I can still select what I wanted. Con, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. That, and then it'll still ask me, do I want this? Yes, I do, but apparently nothing's happening. So normally you're going to get a bunch of items in here. This is a little hiccup here. I'm not really sure what's going on, but anyways, cool. We have our pretty much our player now. We need like a, I don't know, go down to assets. Oh, and again, make sure, the most important thing of all, make sure you have your library open and you put in all your modules that you have bought. You have to make sure that you unload them. So if you hit library, make sure you unload these modules, and they say unload, because then you know they're already loaded in. You have to hit the button load to add it. So to make sure the information's in here, but say I need a gnome. So this is an assets, which is right here. This is just the tokens that I can choose from for a gnome. That's a pretty looking gnome. Let's put that right there. All right, and just name yourself name. If you have hero points, 1. So that's pretty easy stuff. So let's kind of go over this front sheet real quick and kind of understand a little bit more about what's going on with the character sheet. This right here is important because this has your class and level. I have Champion 1 and Sorcerer 1 already in there. So I want to get rid of Champion. Be honest, they might have even thrown all the abilities for... Yeah, so they put in the champion code and all that. I can just get rid of it by right-clicking, bam. Get rid of all this, because that's not going to actually affect me anymore. And it's not a big deal. Just get rid of it. You don't need that stuff. Now it's going to say 2 next to all this because I leveled up S2. Just click it and just hit 1 on your just kind of hit 1, click 1. Don't use the mouse wheel because you're gonna forget where you're at inside when you're gonna grab those levels. And you definitely want to make sure that you know what level that you're getting feats at, because that way you can, when a player wants to swap out a feat, during either downtime, or if they level up, they didn't like an earlier feat, or just an earlier feat becomes kind of moot, they can swap it out, and you still know, like, okay, that was a level 2 feat that you had that's now moot, so you need to get a level 2 or lower feat, so you want to do that. But in general, and that's under abilities, I'm just getting rid of the abilities, but I want to make sure it's just the sorcerer. So it's sorcerer level 1. Alright, and that's the class and level. This is pretty important. This was kind of how you leveled up people and gave their XP, and still do, So I can click on this, and this is kind of important too. This little magnifying glass. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a magnifying glass right there. And it's usually next to the most important things that you can change. So you're just going to kind of click on that. And it's going to open up where our total level is, our XP and XP needed. So if your players want to know how much XP they have, this is the place to go. You can put it in manually, or we can use, if you can remember, back in the other tutorial, there's a party sheet that you can throw in. So if I want, I got to go to my main. And I actually have to go to characters, and what is it? My name is name, right? Yeah, there we go. So I throw a name. Oh yeah, and I want to make sure my portrait looks like that. There we go. Just kind of grab that token and re-put it into the portrait. But you can also click on this. And I'll get to the here and that in 1 second, because I'm kind of getting off tandem here. But anyway, so if we have this XP inside of here, and we click here and say we need 1,000 XP to level up, because that's norm for 2nd edition. In my campaign it's 1,200. It's a little harder to level up in my campaign, and makes it so higher levels take a little bit more time so they can really learn their classes. But I can either just kind of click on XP and throw in 40 XP, or since I do have name on here, I can go to, what is it? Is it inventory? I believe it's, oh no, it's XP at the bottom there. Boop. Bam. I can throw in, and again, to actually add an XP, or to do this, you have to go to encounters. Alright, and we're going to get into this, like, I'm going to be teaching you this party sheet and the encounter thing like 20 times. But if you have to remember that an encounter, and I use this a lot, but I used to do XP encounters right here. And these are groups. I'll explain that a little bit later. But say I wanted to award 400 XP, I could just throw it in there really easily. It has the XP right there. But I only want, I really only want name to get it right now. So, easy way to bypass that is to throw it in here. But say I want to give it to everyone. Well, to be honest, I don't want to give it to everyone, and I don't believe I can necessarily. Or no, maybe it's. I forget how that works. I thought there's a better way, kind of like an inventory, but I don't believe so. But I mean, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take these guys off here, just to kind of so I can show you that it actually does work. Right clicking, taking all my players off, and so now I'm just left with name. And when I go to XP, I can just hit award, and you can actually see the 440 going up, 440 going up, and bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, you got some XP. So awesome, pretty cool stuff here. Let's go back to names, character sheet, and explain a little bit more. So again, that's the sorcerer area, and this is where you level up. So when you hit a level up, it used to be where you would have to actually manually put in like 2 here. Now that's a completely different story. You can, once you hit 1,000, You know, just take it away, make it back to 0, and then go to your tracker and hit add a level. And the add a level will actually tell you what your class needs. Like right here, it says sorcerer is added to name. So this is going to be, they're giving me hit points. I get 18. Then I need a sorcerer feat 1 and a skill feat 1. So that's pretty cool. But say I don't really know what I need. Now I'm not looking at this. I can also hit here, go back to that class and level, and next to sorcerer right here is that little symbol again, and I can click on it. And you all are already seeing that 2 is there, right? You know, great, right? Cool. And this will have everything just for you that you need to know about that class. If you for spells, it's going to be on the front. So there's the spells for this right here. So I'm at level 2 right now. So we'll get into that here in a second. And then the other, if I kind of go down, it'll tell me everything that's really important about my class, even up to here, like right here. Sorcerer feat, skill feat, a level 2. And that's important because then we actually have to pick those. So if I'm going to pick those, we have to go to these buttons that are located right below the most important buttons for creating your character here up above. So they're right here in the middle, right above this like information kind of tab area. And what did we need? We needed a sorcerer feat. So that's a class feat. So we just hit class, and it gives me everything that I need to know. Alright, so let's just say I want a reach spell. Alright, it is now added. If I go to abilities, you will find my reach spell, and it says at level 2 I gained it. So this is great, keeps track of everything. Also the proficiencies and some of the rules for you know, being a half orc and being a oh, and it does give me bonus languages. That is something we'll get here in a second, in a moment. But for right now, we're just pretending we're level 2 and we're gaining. We got a class, and now we get a skill feat. It'll give me all the options that I can get for a skill, but you have to watch out because it has like general feats. I'm sure it'll change later on because there's general feats mixed in with general skill feats. If I'm correct in here, I could be. Oh no. This is just skill feats, so that's awesome. So cat fall is great. Want cat fall? I'm a gnome that can fall great distances, and you should reach spells. Sounds really sweet. Oh, and another thing at first level, forgot about that. We always have an ancestry, you know, feat. So I want orc sight. Now I have low light vision and dark vision. Yay! And those are great. All right, so you can even see that just adding like certain feats actually adds everything into this character sheet. This is a beautiful system. So even says cat fall, reach spell, everything I need to know about leveling up. But all right, enough for leveling up for a second here, but let's kind of go in order. We have name, we have hero points. Here's our portrait. I can go in here and I can grab anything off of the internet just by using the folder and grabbing, you know, whatever I want. So I believe most files are fine. I think JPNs, I think, is kind of what you're going for in general. I believe so. So at the moment, I'm pretty sure it's JPG. There might be some other file types now, and I will go over getting maps into here once we go into advanced battles. Advanced battles are definitely going to have map making. Or not map making, I'm sorry, but basically getting to understand how to get a map out there and basics of the map maker, and then get a battle going. But to really get into the heart of a crazy battle going on, and I'll explain that way later. But right now, so that's kind of how you get your portrait. But the portrait's different from the token because the token is what's going to be placed on the battlefield. So just letting you know. So if you want to have a different portrait than your token, you can do that. That's kind of neat. Let's see. So then here's where our ancestry is gnome, and we can click on that little icon. It tells us everything. So if players want to refresh their memories, same with their background, they can click on that little icon, refreshes their memory. And so here's our class level that we just explained a moment ago. Here is our traits. You can actually just double click on anything that's highlighted to kind of understand what the trait actually means. Then we get to the heart of D&D right here. Here's our attributes, which are important because, you know, attributes determine everything. So one cool thing about the attributes here, you can still go old school if you want to and say, you know, your dungeon master says, oh, take an intelligence check to see if you understand a little bit more about this puzzle. So I can go over to the modifier here. They have it as marked as a bonus, and I can just double click it. And I got my bonus right there, so 17. Or I can click and drag. Same idea. That was terrible. I don't know anything. So right there, that's, you can still roll everything that you want. I'm really not sure about this damage area right here. I think that's damage DMG. I haven't really messed with this yet, but I have messed with these where if like my players end up and this would be manually. You can do this a lot quicker later on, and I'll teach you how to do that too. But right now, manually, like say, I don't know, one of my characters is drinking a pint of lager, and they're having a good conversation. You know, I might say, well, they get a +1 to charisma, and they might get a +1 to wisdom for the moment. But their dexterity is going down a bit, so a -1. You know, so I can easily manipulate the field just by going to the character sheet. And by the way, you click up here, you're gonna see all your players. Just click on their portrait, and you're gonna get their character sheet. But again, this is such an easy way to manipulate the battlefield, especially if you're really into role playing and having your characters, when they do, you know, do anything, you know, if they smoke crack or something like that, well, yeah, you know, take away 2 intelligence, take away some 2 constitution, but you know, they might have a +4 to strength. So you never know. So it's just for fun. All right. So that is this area right here. Then you have initiative. Now, this is kind of an odd place for the initiative. I was hoping that they would maybe they'll stick it up here one day, but I'm not sure. But this is probably the best place for right now to put the initiative. It's kind of an odd spot though, right next to the attributes. But it has the perception, it has the stealth. Now, if you're a Pathfinder 2nd edition player, you can also use like diplomacy. You can use like nature, you know, for initiative. Like initiative now can be really anything. It just has to kind of match what the player is doing at that time. So if that player is in a heated debate with a political advisor, and you want to do a back and forth, you know, then you definitely want to have them roll a diplomacy instead. Now, unfortunately, this is not going to change the battle tracker or the combat tracker. When you get the combat tracker in here, this is definitely just you know, I'm gonna get rid of this real quick. I don't want anyone to see this. But, oh, excuse me. If I get my, where's name at? And, okay, name's at the bottom there. So you're going to see, like, right here on the combat tracker is the initiative. This is the initiative right here. And you can see it going all the way up. So if I roll a perception and double click or drag, I get a 10. I roll bop 10. So I'm 10 on here. Well, let's say I have a modifier of 3,000. All right. So again, just putting 3,000 down in the modifier. Gonna now double tap. I am pretty sure I'm first because I'm at 3,012. So you can see, you can still manipulate the system really easily. And at the same, now it won't work unless your player does this. That's another thing. So if I put a modifier into this and wait for my player to roll something, that's not going to work that way. I was thinking they should kind of develop something where they could put a modifier up in this corner where, you know, I can put it in there so I know when my character rolls another, the next whatever roll that they're going to roll, it's going to take that modifier for it, you know, and then that's way it's kind of secret, or, well, they might see it, but they could easily just make it so they couldn't see it, you know, I'm like, how did I get a 13, you know, so, but that would be kind of cool. Well, that's just kind of wishful thinking right now, but for what we have, we got a good system going on, right? So here's the modifier, and then I took perception as initiative. Now, if I'm stealthing, that's a different story, you know, then I'm going to use that there, or that +1. Yeah, 6. I am probably knocking over a couple eggs or egg cartons or something, you know, and people are noticing me. So this is where your initiative is. Now, unfortunately, if you use anything other than perception or stealth, unless they develop something in the options here and can add in more, but I believe the space is kind of limited here. You have to do it manually. So say name is going to use diplomacy for, you know, so I roll a +6. I roll, you know, you can see the roll there. I get a 24. I can just really easily click here and hit 24, and now there's my character using my diplomacy check, you know, so that's the other way to kind of bypass everything. Great way too, if you're, you know, if someone kind of uses a I still use first edition's you know, hold your actions. And so holding your actions is great because, you know, it changes where they're at inside of the combat tracker, and so that way I know if like someone's holding their turn and now 23 went, but they want to go after 23, I can just easily hit 22 and bam. Or, you know, if after 32 I can hit 29. Now I believe if I hit 32 I'll go up on top. Oh no, I go underneath. Good. That's even better, because like the first person to roll 32 should be on top. The second one should be on the bottom. Yada 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 yada. All right, so let's get back to the main menu again. And so now we kind of know what initiative is altogether. Here is our AC, one of the most important things, and this is really important. We want to make sure we're wearing stuff, and that's great actually that we don't have any inventory. I do want to explain that a little bit more in detail. So let's see, let's kind of get into this. So part of the AC is going to happen on the combat tab here too. Okay, so we have our main and our combat tabs here. So part of how you're getting your AC will be on the combat tab. All right, so probably the first thing that you're noticing is shield raised. Yes, if you want, say this was a champion and they had a shield, and they do raise it, they actually have to physically hit this button right here on their character sheet. This will raise if they do have a shield. See, you're not seeing anything happening because they don't have a shield, so nothing is happening. And right now the AC is, well, I'm trained because I'm not wearing anything, and that's pretty much what's gonna happen with a with me. But you know, I kind of fiddled around and kind of put a champion in here so we get heavy armor and light armor trained. That would not have happened if I pick Sorcerer as the first class. I'm pretty sure Sorcerer is not trained in heavy armor here. But this is kind of nice because it is made, this is the defense proficiencies here, but this is made too, so I can turn it off. I can actually hit trained until it goes off. I'm untrained technically in heavy armor, but say I'm trained in medium armor. All right, let's kind of get to that here in a second. Another thing too, I want to say, if there is ever a total, and you want to actually change it on the fly without having to go through all the little details or nuances or these gray boxes, you can always hold down Control and mouse wheel it, and it'll actually give you this little plus sign so you know you are overriding that system. And the original number was 15. It is not 16 because that has a +1 that I added to it. So you can do this to anything. You can do this to the scores for your attributes. If I wanted, 20 strength here, I can do that, and you can see the bonus going up. But that's not really true. And what's nice about that is you can actually see the I think if I go, yeah, there we go, you have to go negative, you can see the, but so is that my original score? I thought my original score was 10. Was my original score 9? I must be getting some things mixed up because I chose two different classes there. But I remember it was like 10. And again, don't choose two different classes. I thought it would override the other one. Apparently it doesn't. It just causes a headache. So don't do that. Don't do what I did. But I know enough on how to teach this to you that shouldn't affect anything. So you should get the gist of what's going on here. Probably the HP here is a little higher than normal too. Because of the class. No, it's right there. Okay. Ancestry. Okay, now that's pretty good. Alright, so again, here's the AC. We go to the combat tab. We have our armor at the very top here. If we had a magical item that we had in our inventory, it's not going to automatically actually add anything. So if we had like a +2 medium armor or something like that, we have to actually add in the +2, I believe. It might not actually be added in quite yet. You'll have to watch out for some of those gray areas too, because that's something as a dungeon master you're just gonna have to do. I mean, that's the best that I can give you. If you really want to be a good dungeon master, you have to pay attention to everything. You can't automate everything 100% of the time, all the time. You have to pay attention. But say you have a magic item, or you made a magic item, or you gave a magic item that you didn't actually program into this, and you're just like, yeah, you get a +2 to your AC, dude. Yeah, there you go. +2. And you could even do a miscellaneous. The Iomode has grant you a gift of divine strength. Give her +2. Bam. And then you can always be like, shield raise. Alright, so we'll get to that in a second. So anyways, that's how you get your items and miscellaneous and the T's here too. You're going to notice if you kind of scroll over, it says like T for train, expert, master, and all that legendary. So we're already trained, and you'll see in the defense proficiencies that unarmored we're already trained. So we do not have anything on. That's why we're getting that 15. So that's 10. Or it's 10 plus our level plus our proficiency, which is a +2, so that +4, and then my base, which is dexterity, so 15. So dex is right there, +1, so we know what's going down. So let's kind of go back. So that has everything to do with AC, and this has everything to do with AC. All right, those two things. We'll get back to that here in a moment. And again, if we had a shield raised, and we don't have a shield, but say we want a shield real quick, let's grab a shield. All right. I don't know. Oop. You can see I've got a lot of different shields in here, but we want something. We want something that's like a level 0, something that's not going to be anything. Oh, there's all kinds of interesting things in here. Yeah, steel shield. This is great. So we have a steel shield, but what we have to do is make sure we go to inventory. This will not. You have to make sure anytime there's an item, you go to inventory, grab that little icon, and then just kind of throw it in. And you see right there that we now have our steel shield. Yay! But we have to also make sure that it's not just in it, the inventory, but it's equipped, which is that little shirt icon. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there are a couple icons. I can make a little bag, which means it's carried, which means the weight, the +1 here, is carried down in my total bulk. All right, we'll get to that here a little bit more in a moment. But we want to wear it. So once I wear it, the steel shield should be giving me a +2 AC, which means I don't think I actually got any benefit. I think I'm still 15, yeah. Or no. If I hit this, boop, it goes up by +2. That's right. So shield raised. Yeah, I'm thinking that was armor, but no, that is shield raised. So I can hit the shield raised, but remember, it's an action to raise that shield, or it is a reaction if you're, a certain class. So, raise that shield, and you get that +2, and it's actually added in there. So when you are getting attacked, that 17 is there. But the player has to make sure that any other action that he makes afterwards, other than raising a shield, he has to actually unclick that. So that's really important too. So as a dungeon master, make sure, or game master, make sure that your players aren't keeping that checked mark there, and you can easily just click up on their character sheet up here, and you'll get that. All right, some pretty easy stuff, but that's pretty neat. If you have a shield. Sweet. So we have our movement speed here. You'll see special movement here, like swim or climb or others, like burrow or whatever. Perception right here, we actually can take our perception check right from the main page without even, without the initiative. And that's another big thing I want to mention. Do not have your players and make your players understand that initiative is for initiative. If they roll a perception check and they're using the initiative check and you're in battle, they're going to change where they were. You're going to not know where they were at whatsoever. Okay, so that's important, because you're just going to be like, oh, right, roll new initiative, I guess, at that point, but so they have to go to skills, or they can go on this main page and they can hit that button right there, or they can click and drag it. There you go. Oh, I see everything that I really don't want to look at. So let's see. Keep kind of going on. We have our saves, another area that's kind of weird. It's off to the right here. Just like initiatives, our saves are on the front, but it makes sense. Like everything that's the most important stuff is on the front. Our HP and everything else. But this is where you're going to roll your saves. For the most part, there's a lot of things that are automated, like where I can grab a spell that makes it so you have to take, or a player has to take a roll. Now, some players like this, some players don't, but I force my players down to do it because it's just faster. And I don't want to, especially with players who have a hard time paying attention, it's just better to do the faster route. Now, some players actually want to physically hit that, double-click that button, or drag it in there, There we go. Woohoo! But sometimes there are spells that you're going to grab and drop on top, and it's going to force that player to automatically roll that roll. Now, I'll get into that in the advanced combat. And it's a little confusing at first, but once you kind of understand how everything works, it's beautiful. It all works out really well. All right, so let's see. We have our hit points here. And the hit points, there are damage reductions you can put in here, but that's going to be a lot later on. In fact, this is the best way. I didn't even think about that. This is the permanently put damage reductions, and you have to put certain things like if you, for instance, if you're healing every round, you put fast healing 2 or 3 or whatever, and that should, I don't know if that highlights, maybe not, maybe it won't do anything, but say you want to remember that you have fast healing 3 or regeneration or whatever it's called nowadays, that's the best place to put it. Or damage reduction too, like resistance or resist fire 2, this is the area you want to put that in, so that way you can resist. And you're probably seeing me put in a kind of code word and another code word, and that's important later on, so it'll be automated when we do the battle. It's not too hard. At first it's a little confusing at first, but once you kind of grasp the idea, and you can find the code words really quick, and I'll show you little methods to make sure that you can kind of keep track of everything that without making yourself go crazy. Everything works out beautifully. So anyway, let's see. So the HP. So I can also, that's damage reduction. But here's the HP. If I hit this little magnifying glass, I can go in here and really manipulate this. So say like I had, I don't know, Sheelin loves the bard of Name. If Name was a bard, and the artwork inspired her to relate more to nature around Golarion, and therefore I grant Name 2x, more additional HP because such a beautiful piece, or a beautiful painting. So anyways, that's a good way to give your players like extra HP, or say they go into a wizard maze, and they get to an area where everyone gets a plus 20 to HP just in that area. So this is a great way to put a plus 20 into that, into the HP, and you'll see it right there added in to total HP. Here's the max HP, and this is the current HP. And let's get rid of that too, though. And again, if I really want to manipulate it quickly, I can still just use hit. I'm going to hold down control and, kind of go up and down with that mouse wheel. I believe I can only do that if there's a little plus sign right here in the corner. As you can see with any of this, like speed too, I can be like, oh yeah, technically you have 30 speed now, So that's with anything, and again, if you hit the magnifying glass, you can go in here and you can even hurt the player. I can, like, there's wounds, so I can be like, oh, you got hit for 15 damage in the wounds right there, and so they'll see it on their sheet. Oh, my current HP is 11. My HP I lost is 15. They call it wounds, and then your max HP right here. Alright, and then, you might have some temporary HP. You can throw it in here like 12, but, and it corresponds to everything that, if Name is up here, you're actually seeing it all correspond. Temporary HP 12 right there. So, yeah, everything correlates. To make someone get all their HP back, you just hit 0 in wounds. Easiest way, because you can't actually throw in, you can. I can say, like, oh, that's interesting. Boop. And now I'm not really sure what happened there. Okay, I see. It's kind of interesting if I put 24. Nah, see, again, it starts getting wacky. It's best just to leave it, hit 0 in the wounds, and I would suggest always just make sure you're using the wounds. So always subtract. A lot easier than anything else. And you'll see like the class level up. Here's the ancestry. Here is the class level up. So every level that you're going to get that plus 6. Here's your constitution you're going to get, your plus 3 every level. This is like if you want to be like, oh, you're... Calistria loves the way that you make love, get plus 1 per level up. So you could easily do that. And then it'll times it with, your level. Here's your miscellaneous modifier, wounds and everything. So now we can understand about that. Alright, that's just that's just the first page. Alright, so that's pretty much everything on the main page. Combat page, we were looking at it, and you can see the AC. That's the first thing up here. It has your armor, your shield. If the shield is raised, you'll see the plus 2 kind of go in there. If we are wearing armor, it'll be here. I equipped it, but it knows better, I think. Oh no, that's the shield. My bad. We want to keep that there. But say we want some kind of armor. I don't know. And I can hit items and go to armor at the very top here. And I can grab, I don't know, let's say leather armor. That's fine. Okay, so it says unidentified item. So again, we have to hit this little guy. The players won't be able to do this, but you can. This little ID right here. If you don't want your players to know what kind of item that they just happen to get, you can make sure that they don't know about it, so it kind of stays a secret until they kind of figure out what is this thing, you know. So we kind of gonna click that to make it so it's green. Now we know, oh, it's leather armor. Oh, nothing exciting or very exciting. And you can see it's already equipped. I can easily turn this off, like not carried, and I can say like bag of holding. Oop. You know, so that way I know that the reason why this one is not being put into the total bulk is because this is in the bag of holding. But you know, let's just say that we're holding that weight and we're carrying it. You're gonna see that right now my armor is doing some things, and right here it's doing some things. My max limit for total bulk is 5, or I'm sorry, until I get encumbered, and then limit is 10 before I can't move or I'm immobilized. And this is doing its thing, so this is good. So let's go back to combat just to kind of show you. See, now armor has a +1 in here. Now I have a 16. So it is better for me to use leather armor than it is to be just wearing nothing for this sorcerer if I am trained in it. So that's a whole different story. And then I can even raise my shield. And now at level 2, oh, come on, raise the shield. You can do it. 18. That's a not bad AC for a sorcerer, right? Alright, so that's kind of what happens. We have the armor, the shield, and then our base stat. We can change the base stat. So we don't necessarily want dexterity to be our stat that is going to make it so that our armor is better. Say for some reason that we're a sorcerer that uses, I don't know, charisma as a way to deflect damage, or make sure that deflect attacks, I should say, or strikes, if you will. So that's a good, you know. So now I have that +2. I have that 17. I'm way more in control. So this is a great way if you have like your own rules or kind of doing something different. You can completely do it, and I highly suggest this to every game master and dungeon master out there. Don't be afraid to mingle up things. Have fun. You know that if you're having fun, your players are going to have fun. That's the best way to kind of put it. It's add in weird things that you never thought would happen. You know, make a, I don't know, make a ghost where every time it gets hit, it throws jelly beans out of its eyes, and players can eat those jelly beans to get a +1. You know, to add in weird things. Players like that stuff all the time. It's really fun. It kind of makes it so like players might not want to eat that jelly bean, but what if they do? You know, like there's so many little questions happening here. Why are there jelly beans coming out of the eyes? And like, my thing is like always imagine it first, and then explain it after. If you're a good enough writer, you can always come up with an explanation for everything. You just have to have imagination first, and you should be fine. So anyway, let's get into our saving throws. Same idea. It's all here. I can change the proficiency. If I really need reflex to be expert, I can hit that. I can change the base stats. I can even roll my saving throws from here. And you can see that I have miscellaneous modifiers. I can change those. Here's my speed. Can I get a little faster here, because now you're kind of seeing everything that's been happening. Speed here, you're going to see that sometimes armor affects it. Sometimes you get some miscellaneous modifiers. But this is a good way to change speed without having to manipulate the system here by holding control and using your mouse wheel. So that way I know exactly what's going into speed. Here's our base attack settings. These are attacks without proficiencies. So this is a great way if someone's grabbing a rock off the ground and they want to throw it and try to hit someone with it. I make them use this a lot of times, this system. But I think we came up with a better... We have a new rule, and I can't exactly remember what it is off the top of my head right now, but there's different ways to do this, and so far it's looking like it's being a little weird there. Alright, there we go. And Oh, nat 20 right there for a melee attack and a ranged attack 15. So you can change the base, can throw in the miscellaneous. If you have character effects, this is where a lot of automations are going to go. And meaning by automations, say that you have, oh, I can't remember what the name is, but say, I think it's like lightning reflexes. Say you get a success in lightning reflexes, but instead you actually get a critical success because your class gave you that special. You can put it into here. Normally when you level up, it'll be thrown into here, and you have to make sure it says on. You can turn it off too if you're old school. You can turn it on so it's an automation, so it'll actually do that. If you get a success in the roll through the combat, it will make it a critical success, and that's really something new and awesome at the same time that's happening, because I didn't think that would have been possible quite with this program, but it's coming together really well. Alright, so, and then the last couple things, you have your defense proficiencies and attack proficiencies. This will have everything to do with what skills you can use. And you're probably seeing this little cat right here. Alright, so this, I believe I can change that to group, name, and then, so it's like category, group, name. So it'll the category is simple weapons. If I want a group of weapons, that's a little different, like knives, forks, axes, and that's kind of taking this time. And then the last group here, you can make it well, I guess right there it tells you everything as you scroll over at the name. You can make a name for like your own weapon, and you can give it its own proficiency that nothing else can get. And this is all automated too. So most of these are automated when you throw in the train. Same right here. If I keep hitting that button, I can get the legendary, or I can turn it off, but trained right there. So basically the whole idea for this, if I use a simple weapon, let's go to inventory, and I just want a simple weapon. Let's wait for that to pop up. It's gonna take a second. All right. So it pops up. And you can see we have, let's use, I think dagger's a really good example right now. So let's throw in dagger. Boop. Just grabbing that icon, throwing it into here. And we want to make sure it's equipped. And it is. And there's a couple things going on. When it's equipped, a weapon, it's always going to be in your actions icon. So we just kind of click on actions, and you're going to see dagger, dagger. There's two different daggers. The reason why, one is going to be used as a melee. The other one is going to be used as ranged, which these two symbols indicate. This one's melee. If you hover over it, it even says melee. One's ranged. Looks like I have the same attack scores, though, regardless of if I'm throwing it or not. And I can kind of see, again, like right here with the thrown dagger at the bottom here, it says range 10 feet, and it'll tell me how many daggers I have. I can say like I have 1 or I have 5 daggers, so that way if I'm throwing them, I can hit the, once I put in 5, I can start, hitting these, and you're going to see check marks kind of going off to make sure that I threw 3 daggers, right? Yeah, because I have 2 more left. They're on me, but I have 1 dagger, I guess. So if I can either attack with the melee here, or I can attack with the range. So you can see it's already added in when I go to my inventory, and making sure that it is equipped, not on the where there's no icon or the carried icon. I want to make sure it's on the equipped icon. Alright, so that is how we can kind of, and it's already added, like, since it's a simple weapon. Let's go to the actions tab again. And here's another big one. When I'm in my actions tab, and I'm going to go over this again, if I go to dagger, I can go all the way to the right, almost to where the symbol is, where I can, click the symbol and read everything about this dagger. But there's that little magnifying glass right next to it, and I can click on that, and I can really modify everything that's inside here. I can see all the traits. I can I can completely change the traits. I can change what stat right here that I'm using. I can use strength, instead of throwing it. Maybe I use my mind, so maybe intelligence throws it. With the psionic power, I don't know. Just kind of throwing out ideas here. And then here's an item bonus. Maybe Iomedae came down and bestowed a blessing upon it, and then you get a +1 forever on it, and that changes everything. So, and you're going to notice too, because this is agile, over here, this area is going to tell you that the second attack gets a +1 and the third attack gets a +2, because it's an agile weapon. Agile weapons actually are -4 and -8 when you attack with those, with the second and third attack, because everything has an attack penalty. Everything. I didn't even know that skills had attack penalties until recently. I don't use skill attack penalties, so like tripping and things like that. I think those are fun enough just to keep them as the same. Makes it really exciting too for players who'd like to kind of not just keep attacking. So, all right, and then crit right here tells you if you hit a nat 20, it's going to crit. And then down here, this is your dice. And say you want to add extra die, just kind of give you an idea. You can actually grab. Say this is a greater striking weapon. I can grab another die 4, just grab it from the bottom here, bring it up, and just drop it in. I have 2 die 4 for the damage. Awesome. Or I can put a bonus of 3 billion, trillion. But we're not going to do that because that's cheating, and we don't want to cheat. We want to have a good time. Now, say we did a mistake to one of these. You can always right-click and erase. Clear the die, but we know that there's 1 die 4, and you have to put in the type of damage. Piercing at the bottom here. You have the bonus, and this is kind of mostly self-explanatory. Dice plus whatever. You can say I don't know, because of the momentum of your dagger coming down at a speed of light, it might get a +2, so therefore this is actually going to have a huge damage outcome, because it's going to be the die +2, so whatever I roll, I roll a 2, it's going to be a +2, so that's a 4, and then it'll say times the strength. Whole different story compared to if I just add in a bonus. Alright, so let's see, I think that's everything. Then you can add effects. If there's a condition that this does, say it makes you slowed 1, it's there, and that condition is now on this dagger when you throw it on whoever. If I throw it on name, and name took 1 damage. I'm not sure how that condition didn't work though. Oh, okay. The effect didn't do anything. Okay. I think you have to. Okay. Not really sure what the effects are yet. We'll get to that later on. There's always new things happening, and probably when they get into advanced combat, we'll get into that. So anyways, that's actions for your weapons, and we're getting into really late here, but so I want to do just a little bit more. So let's go to the skills tab. So we're at the skills tab, and the skills tab is probably used the most, other than the actions tab. I would highly suggest that the skills tab is going to be here for the most part. So you're going to see in my skills tab, I have certain things trained. Now you have to remember, going back to the tracker, There was a point when it told me I had to get 2 plus my intelligence modifier, so that's 1, which I have not done yet. So if I go to skills, I need to say I want Arcana, Performance, Thievery. Really strange things. Okay. For a sorcerer. For fun. Well, other than Arcana. But, you know, I want them, right? And you can always add in other... You can actually hit right-click, add in the whole new skill. So you could be like, rope tricks. Or, I don't know, DJing. I'm just throwing it out there, and you could actually like, oh, DJing, that takes a lot of dexterity. You gotta slam those records down, and hey, I'm trained in it. You know, make sure the T is there, dexterity is there, and you can already see I have a 5, and then when I roll it, it'll actually say skill DJing. Oh, 18. Yeah, yeah, I'm rocking that DJing stuff, right? And you can also right click, I believe, to get rid of them if it will do the thing. So yeah, I can just delete that, get rid of rope tricks. But lore is always going to be one that you'll probably put in a lot, so pretty important. So yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. All the skills here, proficiencies up to legendary. This is the stat which they use. You can manipulate those and change those. If you really want medicine to be charisma based, you can. Miscellaneous modifiers. This happens a lot, especially like, what is it called, like untrained skill list or something. I can't remember that skill feat, or general feat. And yeah, you're going to put a lot of miscellaneous modifiers in here. And then right here is where you roll everything. So you can either double click or grab, throw it in. And if a player does not know about a skill such as thievery, you can always click on the little icon here, which will actually let you know what you're using. And you know, sometimes you need to be trained in things to use some of these like thievery trained actions. You can't disable a device unless you're trained. You know, you can't pick a lock unless you're trained. Very important. All right, so that's that. Then you have your abilities tab. Not too hard to know. This is everything that your character pretty much knows, all the crazy stuff. So you know, if you want to know about reach spell, just click on that. Click on the little icon. You're going to see the diamond. So this actually costs an action. You can extend anything by 30 feet. If it's a range, it cannot be anything other than a range. If it's a touch, you can actually extend it to 30 feet. But it can't be like, you know, anyone trying to use fireball, you can't actually use this to make the fireball bigger, widen, or anything like that. This is completely different. And then up here, the traits, you can actually see the traits. You can double click on those and try to understand what those traits mean, which is really important in or on Pathfinder 2nd edition, because Pathfinder 2nd edition uses a lot of traits. Now, I will go out on a limb and say, if you're a 2nd edition player, Dungeon Master or Game Master, do think outside of the box. Like, throw in things, you know, new rules, throw in, because I wouldn't say this is a cookie cutter experience, but it does have like the great foundation of rules. And I love the 3-action economy system. And if you know how to use it, it makes it work. You can make it work real well. So your evil bad guys are not necessarily really any stronger than what your players are per turn, because they can only do so much. You know, it's all depending on how the level difference, you know. So that's a really big thing. Let's see. All right, so this is where everything is at. If you want to add, you can always hit the plus or minus sign here to get rid of things. You can just hit that. But we don't want to do that. We don't want to add anything either. So let's see. Let's keep going on. Inventory. Really important. This is where you're going to put all your stuff. Everything you want to buy, anything that you want to use, needs to go into the inventory. Now, this is something that players get wrong all the time, okay? Here is your treasure. Here is your item value. All right? All the items up in here have an item value. This is usually used for game masters and dungeon masters to evaluate and make sure that players aren't getting more items than another character or getting more value than they should be at a level. This is, a balancing act. Make sure that all your players feel pretty wanted and everyone's gaining what they need. Now, for the most part, don't have to really worry about this, because if you're like me, I just like over engorge my players, because with a 3 action system, you can give your players so many different goodies, but there's only so much they can do with them, and that's important. So they have to figure out what is better to use now than later, and so like it really gets the players thinking, what is the best route for this? And another thing too is to always add, as a game master in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, just add in weird things. I said this earlier, add in weird things. It's better. Makes everything better. Odd things is just better. Alright, so the last thing we have here is armor, and this will be like if your armor is giving you a penalty check because your strength modifier or your strength in general is not high enough. It'll tell you the speed penalty, the skill check penalty, and what your maximum defense is. And I'm not really sure why it's here. It should really be more in combat, but it's here in the inventory right now for now. So I guess that makes sense, because you're looking at the bulk, and sometimes maybe the armor had the skill check, you're like, getting a -2 because of this. So, and you can see like I have 2.1 because, and I can go up here, I have the 2 and the 0.1 weight, and it is correlating to the system, and it makes sense. Now, again, treasure and total value of items are completely separate. Players have to add in money in here. If they get 20 XP, or 20 gold, 20 gold, they have to add it, like what I just did, manually. They add it manually, or you can go into the party sheet. You can always go to inventory, and you can tell players, you get 20 experience points. Or, I'm sorry, 20 gold pieces. Boy, twice now. And this is going to go to... I don't think I have to actually... Oh, that's 20... Oh, yeah. I just hit that. Boop. There we go. And it was distributed to the party equally. But there's only one person in the party, so I got all 20 of those. And that's pretty awesome. Let's see, what else do we have in here? We have our notes. This is where it gets important, because we need to make sure that we understand languages. Now, at the beginning, you might get some extra languages based on intelligence. And so when you go down to notes, languages is right here off to this right side, kind of center. And you want to make sure you have certain languages. If you need to add, just kind of add in and put, Draconic, I guess. So that way, when I hit Draconic over here, and you can see like there's affix colon. This will change when you put enemies down here, and I can, for the most part, I'm not speaking the common. I'm just speaking as nothing. But say I want to speak Draconic. Now I'll be like, yo, what up, my cat? Exclamation mark. Alright, so I say it. Now, once a player is in here and they actually know Draconic, it will say understood by name. My name. So, yo, what up, my cat? So bam, all right there. And it's kind of cool because all the other characters will see this. and they won't know what that means, you know. But the one person that can understand it because of their languages, they will be very, very pleased to see this, and they can talk back in the same manner. And it's really fun to really create this like whole new environment where, especially to see other players talking amongst each other in different dialect too. That's really fun. So other players don't even know what the heck that they're talking about. All right, so this is pretty easy stuff. Alignment, neutral, evil, deity, Iom, Iom, that won't work. Or Orcus. No, Orcus would be. Nah, I could do Orcus. Then weight, I don't know, 89 pounds. Height, 2 feet. Age 45, gender none. So there we go. We got a great character here, and then you can put your appearance. Now this is important here because all the little stuff like invested items. I don't understand why on the character sheet there's no area for invested items. So I do this, invested items, and then little thing, and I put 0 out of 10 because 10 is the max that you can have. So you know, once a character begins to get more invested items that they're invested in, you know, you put in the number. All right, you're 3 out of 10. Maximum is 10. So this is a great way to make sure that you are keeping all the little stuff together that characters forget about, especially if characters forget about things. Investigators forgetting about their what do you call it? Their oh, I can't even think of what it's called right now. But they have a special where they can foresee what it's going to be like for an attack, and you know, and if they don't remember what that attack bonus is, you know, using their intelligence instead of their strength, that you can throw it all in here. So it's a great idea. Here's an area for deities if you really want to keep some religion notes. And then here's some miscellaneous stuff. I actually kind of tell players, you know, if you really want to keep like a diary, this is the that's where you want to put your diary. All right, last but not least and most important is actions tab. You can have everything up here. You have your fortitude save you can take from here. You know, players can just leave their action tab on. They have their initiative here. They have everything. They have their how much HP they have, how much you know, if they're wounded. And let's see right here, they're wounded, so I gotta take away that 1. So you can see everything. If they're dying 1, or if they're wounded 2, you know, or they're dying 1, I can stick it all in there, and that's really good. So with this character, and I'm just really basically gonna say they have like 5 cantrips, and they get like 3 level 1 spells. So really just the easiest way to show you, it's the same like anything else. You put in the you know, whatever the character tells you. Oh, hey, you know, I really want this spell. All right, cool. You want color spray. Grab the little icon and drag it, and make sure it goes to 1 if it's a level 1 spell, you know. Right here in the gray area, just kind of throw it in there. I'm going to get rid of this new spell because I shouldn't be there. And here's their color spray. And another thing that's important too, well, hold on. Let's kind of add in a couple cantrips. Let's go down here and find, like, you know, level, school, tradition, type. Oh yeah, mine's all messed up because of a couple things. But this is a great way to like find all your stuff really easily. But I know, like, for instance, I want Mage Hand. It'll say, well, for me it says C1. I want, what else? Produce Flame. I'm just kind of throwing down spells in here. Alright. And for fun, let's say that your Dungeon Master is awesome and gives you, oh, if I'm correct, it should be Finger of Death. All right, and again, just saying, if you get Finger of Death at your Dungeon Master is awesome. He's like, yeah, you get Finger, of Death at level 1. Woo! Well, bam, throw it in there. You have Finger of Death at level 1. Now, this is pretty much how you get your spells in here, and I'll explain a little bit later too, where especially in advanced combat, where down here the mode and the display are pretty important. Here's preparation. If I am a sorcerer and I can make 3 of these per day, or 4, and I can actually go to, and you're going to see like focus spells, sorcerer spells, but there's that little magnifying glass all the way over there to the right next to the class level. I hit that, and I can see now I have 5 cantrips and 4 level 1 spells I can prepare. And it'll tell me like what tradition I have, like, let's say like arcane, and I can again change any of this, like the proficiency, the item, miscellaneous. I can give anyone anything. I can change how the modifier works, but for the most part, we won't have to worry about this because it'll be automated. But still, it's a good idea to open it up every once in a while, make sure it's right. Especially for the DC, we want to make sure that DC is correct. DC should be correct because it's Charisma +2 plus level. So Charisma I think is +4. No, it's +2. All right. And I'm proficient. That's why. So I'm going to need that +2 from level, and +2 from being proficient or trained, and giving me a 16. Awesome. So now all of these are automated for being 16, and you can see that I can prepare them when I hit mode, and I can actually just check them off, like which ones I want. Apparently I can't do that right now, so there we go. Combat. Oh, that's how it works. Yeah, that's right. So if you're a spontaneous spellcaster, or if you're a you have a source, that will change right here. This little star right here, I can actually change it to. So here's a prepared spellcaster. It has a little book, and here's a spontaneous spellcaster. Spontaneous spellcaster, I actually, instead of preparing, I never prepare. I just make sure it says combat here on mode, and when I use color spray, I just hit the button. And I used it once. You can actually see name, used, color spray, and I can hit Finger of Death, name, used, Finger of Death. And so now you're kind of seeing that those are being used up. But say I want to get rid of those, we just go back to standard, and I just kind of click on the last ones I used. So there's and that's combat right there. But say I'm I'm gonna go up here. Oops, I just deleted everything apparently. That's interesting. Well, there's a new little glitch. Let's see. That'll get it back. There we go. All right, so we have a prepared spell. All right, so say we're a prepared spellcaster. Well, we have to go to preparation, and then we hit the I'm going to prepare this 2 times, and I'm going to prepare Finger of Death 2 times, and you're going to see the circles are now outlined for each one. So now when I go to combat, there'll be 2 circles for each one instead of 1. See, pretty awesome, right? So now I can actually make sure that my spellcasters are keeping everything the same, but this is a spontaneous spellcaster, so that's different. Summary. This is going to tell you everything right here, how many actions it is, somatic and verbal, or if it's material. And we're going to go into Actions tab here. As you can see, now you're going to see a bunch of icons. So summary is one thing, but actions is another. Actions is important because, one, we can take, say, Produce Flame. Here is my spell attack. I can use it as a melee attack, so I can use it. Or I can hit that as nat 20, nice. Or I can just kind of use my, because I'm attacking with it. So that's different. So I can grab this and drop it onto an enemy. And that happens, right? If it is a success, I can either take the first or the second one. I think the first one is the actual damage. Second one, if it's a critical success, would be this little icon, a little blood drop I'd be dropping on top of the character, and that would automate it to make sure that they're taking persistent damage every turn. So that's that little icon right there. So the blood drops are going to be damage. These little diamonds or whatever you're seeing are like little die 20s. That's going to be rolling. And then you're going to see this little dude like walking, or it almost looks like an alien or something walking. I don't know. Something. But if, say, I use color spray and it used an effect and it used dazzled on someone, I can click on that if it's on their turn. More than likely, you're going to have to click and drag that icon on top of the person that you want to throw it on, and it'll actually automate the dazzled and tell you how many rounds or whatever it is for a long time. Same with the Finger of Death right here, just a fortitude save, and you can easily see that it actually made Finger of Death lowered for this particular moment because I'm casting it as a level 1. So you can see that the fortitude is still whatever, DC 16, and if it hits, it's going to deal 70 damage, but I have to drop that on top of an enemy. Same thing with the if there's more than that, I believe that's this is used for whatever. And I can change all of these, and I'm going to teach you that when we get into advanced combat. So advanced combat, I can actually teach you how to make these rolls, how to make these blood drops, and how to make these little icons and everything, so that you can make your own spells, make your own little whatever you want. That's part of the fun, right? So part of the fun, we want to have our own little world that other players can experience and get scared of or be delighted with, depending on what they fancy. So let's see. I believe that is everything for the most part there. So that's character creation. I know you want me to, I guess last thing, I can hit tracker and I can be like add level, and eventually when you get up to level 5, it's going to give you this thing because you get 4 more free ability boosts. So you just kind of choose the 4, bam, and then you can keep doing that. But you're going to see like the hit points keep going up, the AC goes up, the skills, everything is going up that is trained in, everything goes up. So everything is pretty much automated for the most part. So leveling up is like nothing in this game. It's great, really easy. My cat is wanting me to pay attention to him. I believe that's everything. So the next tutorial I will be doing will be Advanced Combat, and then after that will be World Building. Advanced Combat, I'm going to teach you how to basically take your bestiary characters and your character that you made, throw them into a combat situation, and to approach it in different ways to let you know the different ways that we can handle and the outcome of a battle and how fast we can do that. And it really just depends on the enemy, and it depends on the character too. So I'll kind of teach you that, and there's a lot of really cool like shortcuts, a lot of really easy ways to do things, and that's the goal right now, and that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that everything is fast, it's easy, it's quick. That is the whole idea, to make sure that our players are paying attention, we're having a good time, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So hopefully that was educational. Hopefully you guys get a little bit out of that. Whatever it is, I'm just glad that I'm here to help. I teach drums in real life. I'm a drum set teacher, percussion teacher, and so I part of my passion is to teach. So it is really fun to do this sometimes, to teach a little bit. So if one person gets something out of this, that's great. Have fun with it, and so that's it for tonight. Game on, and I will see you next time on the next tutorial, if at one point. So take care, guys. Peace.